Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to my Autumn After Dark series, episode 1. Today we're doing some dark cottagecore, DIY number 1, Woodland wall hanging trio. And I got this kit at Dollar General. It's 2 pieces and some dowel rods, and you see there you put it together to make one tall sign. And then that extra piece for some reason was loose from another kit, so they gave me a good deal on it. So I have 3 of these. So we're not going to put them together. We're just going to do 3 separate pieces, but they all go together. Here's my first image, is this little fox, is me cute. My plaid folk art Java, my favorite paint ever. And we're going to get down in those little slats first to make sure we get that nice brown paint in there. My dog is whining outside my door. And we're going to paint all 3 of them with the Java. Now I've got plaid folk art forest moss matte paint, and I mixed a little black in it to darken it a little bit. And we're not going to dry brush, but we're not going to completely coat the entire surface. We want that brown showing through. So we're just going to kind of do it just kind of in streaks here and there. And you could dry brush it as well. You could do a crackle with the green. You could do however you like, but I really wanted this green. There's a little bit of green in these images, and it's very subtle. So I wanted to kind of bring that out. So you can see here, I'm just, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We want it to be a little here and there. You see how that looks? So I'm dabbing it off. I don't have a paper towel because I don't want to dab off as much. There you go. So you want that brown showing through. And then for the sides, I just essentially just dry brushed the green on the sides. And I have this little dark cottage. Now I wanted to layer these, and this is kind of a pain in the butt because you got to give them the exact right spot. So you do not have to do that. I just thought it would be kind of fun to give it a little dimension, I guess you could say. And these are the pieces that I actually tore off of the outside of the cottage, and I'm going to layer them just underneath the bigger image. And yeah, you'll see I have to tack down the corner and make sure it's in the right spot. So it is some extra work that you don't have to do. They'll look wonderful if you just tear out the picture and put it on there. But when you see how the fox turned out, you'll see why I was glad I went to the trouble, because that one in particular, it kind of repeats because I had 2 images. I printed it the wrong size the first time. You'll see. You'll see. So you see how I'm laying it out to see where I want it. I've got something, a little jar sitting there for weight. And what I'm going to do is take a tiny little bit of Mod Podge and get it under the corner of one that's on the very bottom to get it attached so it won't move around on me. Then I'm going to do the top corner of the one on the other side. And again, these are the 2 that are going to go at the very bottom. Make sure you don't get glue all over anything else. You don't want to glue anything else down to it yet. So here we have it. It's just attached on that top edge. And we're going to just Mod Podge the rest of the way down. These were fun to do. And these little wood, I paid, I think, $8.50 for the kit, and then $1 for the single piece. So hey, I got 3 projects in one out of it, so I'm not complaining. Let me wipe my fingers off. Wipe off some excess, and just make sure there's no air bubbles underneath, of course. And we're going to Mod Podge over top of all of this. There's no way to avoid it. And there's nothing wrong with that finish. I like the Mod Podge finish. It's just sometimes I'd rather just use the clear coat and leave that papery looking texture. But the Mod Podge top coat does bring out the colors better sometimes. So keep that in mind when you decide how to seal your projects. So we're just going to put a top coat of Mod Podge over top. Now we've got the other 2 pieces, and I've already glued down the one edge. And I'll make sure you get some Mod Podge down in that crevice. Try not to have a big blob of it, but make sure it's down in there. And you want to have a little utility knife handy and a popsicle stick handy. You want to have both those items within reach. And also, while it's wet, you got to be careful when you get that utility knife. Press down and make sure it's cutting through it before you drag it downward, because it could grab it and just pull it off. That happened to me, or I edited it out, but it did happen to me. Take your popsicle stick and again press it down, and be careful. Make sure you're not snagging the edge and pulling it around. So, and that will dry clear. Of course, in the middle there it doesn't matter because that other image is going to cover that up. But what does show will dry clear, so no worries. And this is the matte Mod Podge, by the way. But you can do the glossy type if you like. And then I do the same thing. I cut out where the slats are. And press it with the popsicle stick. And then we're going to put our top coat of Mod Podge. Now, let all that dry completely before you go playing with the top image. You don't want it to glue down in the wrong spot on you. And what I do here is I'm holding it up out of the way and doing half of it because you don't want that glue drying too fast in the slat. But don't press it down all the way across. Just press it down on the edge, because when you lift, see, oh, it snagged that spot. Like, yeah, make sure you press down. Make sure it's cutting before you pull it down. And I'll show you, it turned out fine. But I pressed it down too far, so there was a little tiny crease in the paper. You don't want that. So just make sure you don't press it all the way down so you can lift it up without it folding on you. And you can't see, once it's all done and the Mod Podge is on top, you can't tell. But I was like, no, I did not just do that. So we make sure that's all pressed down. Now here we've got, this is the wolf, and I've done the same thing. I've done the outside pieces that are underneath. Look at that wolf. Look at him. Isn't he pretty? I had to do a little more distressing on the wolf because it was the colors, the background colors were quite a bit lighter than the other two, but it worked out. And the same thing. And again, you can just tear out the one image and roll with it. You don't have to do all this. I did that Edgar Allan Poe, that book with the Raven poem. And I had to do that to hide the letters in the book. And just that layered look, I thought, that looks really cool. So I wanted to do that again. Here's my wolf. Isn't he beautiful? Look at that. Look at that face. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And we're doing the exact same thing. Look at him. And here's the fox. Well, this thing, look at that. Look. And oh my God. Oh, that was awful quick. But... you might want to rewind that because that flashes up too quick. But so now we're going to take our antique wax and of course get those edges. I'm going to start with a small brush, and with the wolf I distressed around. I tried to stay off of his face because I didn't want it too dark on his face. You want to actually see it. It'll get too dark if you're not careful. So, and then get your little brush and make sure you distress where the slats are, where the crevices are, whatever you want to call them, because that's going to be darker on those edges as well. And you see how it keeps getting a little darker and darker, and just make sure you get those edges and blend and blend and blend. Look at him, he's so gorgeous. Now here's the house. Now that one went really dark, but again, the paper started out darker on the other two pictures, so I just didn't want to darken the wolf too much where you couldn't see him. So there's the fox and the cottage. And then once we do all the small brush work, you can take a bigger brush and go over the entire thing. And I did that with the cottage and the fox, but not with the wolf. I didn't want it on his face. Now I've got these leaves, but they're a little bit bright green for me, so I'm just hitting them with some antiquing wax. And I'm doing a little more than a dry brush. So now the leaves are dry. And I've got this green colored Spanish moss, and I'm going to hot glue that across that top. So we've got that big area on the top. We have to do something with all that, right? So we're going to get our moss up on that little shelf, if you will. And then we're going to glue the leaves across the front piece. And now don't worry, try not to get too much glue, but don't worry about the glue showing a little bit, because what we're going to do once these are glued down, is pull down some of that moss and weave it in between the leaves, and it'll hide those glue spots and look more natural. It turns out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with them. And then I just kind of made sure I tucked them underneath each other a little bit so that the little end of the stem didn't show too much. And these leaves lay nice and flat, so I didn't have too much trouble. And my little spatula, don't burn your fingers. And then I put a little spot of glue towards the end of them to kind of keep them from just flopping down. I stood it up and it was just kind of flopping. So get a little glue there. And again, you cover that up with some moss. And you can actually add more glue than that. Just make sure you can even grab some extra moss and stick it in the glue. And make sure you cover up the glue spots. You know, it's not a big deal. But you see, I'm just pulling it down and weaving it between the leaves. That's it. It hides all that glue. Look how pretty that is. So these are all done, and you'll see all 3 in my reveal. This video contains Amazon affiliate links, so if you use them to buy anything, this helps support my channel. They're in the description box below. Thank you all so very much. DIY number 2, the familiar. I'm sure you all have heard of a witch's familiar, typically a black cat. This is a Dollar Tree bamboo cutting board, and I just painted it with my folk art black chalk paint. Look at that. This came out of the same paper pack. It was called like Spooky Forest or something like that. There's some other really cool papers I'm excited to use. And we're just going to Mod Podge this beautiful kitty right to this cutting board here. And again, of course I tore it out instead of cutting it. We want those jagged torn edges. Make sure we get all the air out. And now I don't Mod Podge the top of this. I'm going to clear coat it later, but you can Mod Podge it. Again, the Mod Podge tends to bring out the colors a little better. So that is up to you as a matter of taste. And we're just going to distress our edges and darken it with a little of the black chalk paint and our chip brush here. We're going to dry brush this. Get those white edges. Look at that. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so pretty. Those glowing eyes just, yeah, it's pretty nice. My dog's still, he's mad because I closed him out of the room to do my voiceover. He's out there wanting it. He's talking to me. We call it chirping. He's chirping. He's a mess. Oh, what a big baby. His name is Biscuit. He's a mess. Look at that pretty kitty. Now this is some black jute twine. I got that from Amazon. A couple pieces of gray felt, some E6000, and some hot glue, and we're going to make a hanger. And I also have a little piece of wax paper and a popsicle stick. And just measure out how long you want your hanger. And I'm going to take the E6000 and put it in the center of where I'm gluing down that twine, and that'll give it a more long-term hold, so I'm told anyway. And a spot of hot glue on either side of the E6000 glue. Lay that twine across there, and another little blob of E6000 goes on top of where you put it the first time, on top of the twine. Same thing with the hot glue, and we press our piece of felt down into it. Careful not to burn your fingers. And this felt works very well. It really turns pretty solid once that glue soaks through it. It's not going anywhere. And we do the same thing on the other side. Get our felt. Easy peasy. This is an easy, quick one. You can Mod Podge anything you want. These boards are great. Mod Podge whatever you want, paint whatever you want, whatever color you want. So now we're going to make a quick little rag bow. I got my black and dark green chiffon ribbon, and I also have some off-white crocheted ribbon and some black crocheted ribbon. I think the off-white I got it at Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure. But the black crochet, he's really mad at me now. The black crochet ribbon came from Amazon. So we're just going to crisscross, that's all we do. We lay it across, make a loop, come back from the other direction, make another loop, and we cut it off. We start with the black. And then I'm going to take the off-white. You're saying don't make your loops too big because they don't have wire. They're just going to flop. You want them to lay flat against your project. And we do the same thing. Just lay it through my little bow maker there. Make a loop. And make sure your loops are at least the same size, even a little bit smaller than the first loops. But you definitely don't want them any bigger. We're just gonna crisscross this ribbon. Oh, now the other dog's whining. You too, I swear. She's in here, and he's outside the door, so there. Someone came through the front door, so now she's whining. Probably my husband. She's Daddy's girl. Oh my God, it's so cute, but it's so sickening. It really is sometimes. Daddy's baby. And we cut that off. And I guess I could have skipped over, edited a little bit out, because I just do the same exact thing. I take my green ribbon, do the exact same thing. But this is great if you're bow challenged, because you just, and then you don't even have to make like a bow with loops. On this one, I guess you kind of do. You don't want it just hanging there. But like when I do my witch stands, you can just do a bundle and tie them together and hang it from the bottom. Add a little excelsior, a little spider, whatever you want, and it's a button, anything. And it's just so much easier to do, and it's so pretty. The chiffon ribbon, I am ate up with the chiffon ribbon. It's so pretty. The frayed edges are just, love it. I've got so many different colors now. I've been collecting it. My favorite's probably the burgundy. And now here's the black crocheted lace ribbon. And Dollar Tree sells the off-white, by the way. They have different designs and widths. But I only found it early, like late spring, early summer is the only time it was in my store. I don't know if that's true for all stores, if it's a seasonal thing, if it's a spring thing, I'm not sure. But that's when I found it at mine, so I grabbed a bunch of rolls. Just cut it off. Now I'm cutting it at a little bit of a slant. You don't have to do that. You can cut it straight across either way, doesn't matter. And this is my black jute twine again. And now put the twine down first. I forget almost every time. It's so much easier. So now I gotta lift it up and get it underneath. Lay the twine down first before you do all the ribbons. And so then you just want to tie it, and tie it tight enough where it's holding everything together, but where you can adjust it, because you're going to want to pull the strings around to the back of your bow. Pull it out of there, flip it over. So I'll pull where the knot's going to go around to the back, and then you're going to want to check and make sure it's centered, which mine's not. You see me pulling it over, so just make sure it's centered. And once it's centered and in the back where you want it, you tie it tighter, and then we're going to trim our tails a little more because they're still too long. And just like I said, just check on your project, make sure it's not covering up your image. Stack on dogs. Oh my goodness. And figure out where we're going to put it, and they're still too long, so we're going to have to trim those again because they're covering up my pretty little cat here. So now we've got it all trimmed, we've got the strings off the back, and we're going to want to fluff it a little bit. We're going to tug on it and pull everything out from behind each other so you can see a little bit of all the different ribbons. You don't want them just stacked on top of each other. And figure out where it's going to go. Now my husband's singing in the other room. Oh my God. And we're going to hot glue this to the very top left corner over here. Hold that in place for a couple minutes and you're good to go. And this project is done. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. If you already subscribed, thanks again. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please consider doing so. We have a good time over here on this channel. I love bringing you this content. Please keep watching and liking and sharing and all the things. It's really helping my channel grow. It is just so much fun, and I would love to keep doing this for you guys. Look at her, so beautiful. Love that cat. And here's my final reveal. Yeah, I think the fox is my favorite. Just the way the design repeats, it turned out pretty nice. I really like these. And my pretty little kitty. Gotta love it. And remember a little Mod Podge coat on top. I might go back and do that. It brings out the color so nice. It really does. Thanks again for being here. Please come back and see me again. And keep an eye out for episode 2.